going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. So, Michigan State basketball gets their second transfer portal commitment of the offseason in guard Trey Fort, coming over from Samford, formerly was at Mississippi State and UT-Martin. Now, this is going to be Michigan State's ball creator, scorer that we were looking for at that two-guard position. We're going to get into whether we believe that he will start or be coming off the bench in that position. I think there's kind of a discussion there. It seems like there's a discussion among the fan base of where Trey will fit in, either in the starting rotation or off the bench. But we're going to talk a little bit about what this commitment means for Trey, a little bit, some of his stats and his game fitting into this team next year, and then what else is Michigan State going to be looking for this offseason. But before we do jump in, if you could, just hit that like and subscribe button down there. We'll have more Michigan State basketball content on the channel, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a video. So, Trey Fort, just going through his numbers. Over the last handful of years, he was at UT-Martin, only played in 11 games, averaged about 3 points there. Then transferred to Mississippi State, averaged 5 points a game there. And then last year at Samford, really saw a big jump there at Samford, about 15 points a game, about 4 rebounds as well. And the big thing, 38% from three. Definitely will be a big addition to a Michigan State team that obviously, as we know, struggled from three last year. So obviously bringing in someone that can shoot the ball well from three. I mean, not that Michigan State didn't have good three-point shooters last year. It just, the ball wasn't falling. So adding someone who can shoot the ball well from three, and Caleb Glenn can shoot the ball well from three as well. So 2 additions in the offseason that will greatly help in that three-point shooting department. Now, a little bit going through of Trey Fort's game. I mean, you see from the 15 points a game, I mean, that is a solid average per game. Obviously, it was at Stanford, but you go through his game logs, and going back, he did play at Michigan State. Michigan State was able to shut him down for the most part, only had 4 points in that game. But, I mean, you have a handful of, you have 24, 25, 27, 21, you have a 36 in there, 24, 29, just a really impressive, stretch shooting the ball. I believe the most threes he had in the game was 7. He went 7 for 11, back in December. So, I mean, he also had an 8 for 10 from 3 games. So yeah, that impressive from 3. But then watching some of his film as well, he's a really good cutter, which I think will benefit Michigan State really well. I think him and Caleb Glenn, running the wings, both, can provide some good things in terms of cutting. Obviously, we talked about Caleb Glenn, running the court with Cohen Carr and their athletic ability, getting to the rim. But I think with Trey Fort on the floor as well, you can, run kind of different stuff when cutting as well. He's a really good cutter, get to the rim, finish, good athlete at the rim as well. But then if you are running with them too, then you have someone, maybe a Caleb Glenn or a Cohen Carr is going to the basket, and then maybe you have a Trey Fort slipping out for a transition 3 and get, kind of that quick hitter offense, if you need to in transition, and kind of, have threats both ways instead of just everyone diving to the basket. You have someone who can spray out, and, Jeremy can, slide the ball over to for a transition 3. So I'm excited. Some of his game he can, as we said, create off the dribble. And get his own basket, which is definitely going to be key. Going into next year, losing, obviously Jace Richardson, Jaden Akins, Trey Holloman, guys that could create their own shot and score off the bounce. We obviously needed that coming into this off season. So excited for Trey Fort to come in. Now, Trey Fort, we did kind of mention his journey. He started college in 2020 at UT-Martin, and then he played some JUCO, and then, made his way back to Mississippi State, and then to Samford. So definitely has been around the block and a seasoned guy, something that, Tom Izzo obviously likes to get. Getting someone from a, smaller level school. I mean, look at, get where you got Tyson Walker from. Look at, where you got Zapala from, where you got, Frankie Fiddler coming from. That's kind of, Tom Izzo's MO in the transfer portal. And I think this is a good addition for Michigan State here going into next year. Fills that role, as we said, as that 2-guard that can create with the ball in his hands, get his own shot, get to the basket, score, as I said. Good cutter, but then also, can shoot the ball from 3 as well, which is something that Michigan State definitely needs. So, will he slot in right away as a starter, or will it be Kurtang? Obviously, that'll be the big question here. Right now, I'm kind of thinking that it might be Kurtang, but I shouldn't even say that. I'm really 50-50. I don't know whether or not he'll, slide in as the starting 2-guard right away. I think he will. I mean, look at how Frankie Fiddler came in last year. I mean, I know Frankie was a little bit different expectations, coming in, and it was different situation, but kind of, in my opinion, Trey Fort's kind of coming in to fill a similar role that Frankie was supposed to fill coming in last year. Kind of that guard wing, obviously not the same position. Caleb Glenn, more of the position that Frankie, a three, traditional three on the wing, but Trey Fort coming in. And the reason I compare it to Frankie Fiddler, Frankie was supposed to come in and it was supposed to be him and Jaden Akins, as the top two scorers on this team. Obviously, Jace Richardson throughout the year, took that realm and was the team's, go-to scorer, him and Jaden Akins. But that's what Frankie came in to do. And we saw Frankie start for the first month or so of the season. So I think Trey might start the season, at the starting two guard. And not to say if things go well, things go bad, but I definitely think Kurtang is going to get a lot of shots here. And I want him to get a lot of shots too. I am very excited to see Kurtang, get an increased role. And he will get an increased role one way or the other next year. And I'm excited to see it. But will this be the last edition for Michigan State? No, because I think you still need another ball handler. Not so much. I mean, if it's a ball handler who can also create his own shot and, give you, 10 points a game, that I think that would just be a plus, a positive. But I don't think it necessarily has to be that. I'm literally just, as I said, if right now, if Jeremy Fears has to go to the bench, I mean, obviously Jeremy Fears is going to play 40 minutes a game for the length of the season. When Jeremy Fears goes to the bench, who is consistently running the point guard position right now? That's not saying that, Trey Fort or we saw Kurtang even, run the point at sometimes, but we want a more natural point guard. Let's say for, we know how sometimes these games go. What if, Jeremy picks up 2 fouls in the first, 5 minutes of the game or something, and it's like, hey, we got to go long stretches like this. We need another ball handler is basically the gist of it. And it seems like that's what the staff is kind of on board with and in line with, hey, they need to bring in another ball handler. That seems what a majority of the fan base is in line with too. A lot of people obviously still for the 5th offseason in a row want to bring in a center. And while the last couple years I would definitely agree with you bringing in another body for center, but going into this next year, I know kind of in the videos leading up to this, after the season and talking in the Caleb Glenn commitment video, I said that I think they might add another center just for depth, not a starting center that was going to overtake Coop at the 5, whatever. But I really think they're going to steer away from that now. I think they are going to just get another ball handler to come off the bench and provide those spurt minutes that they need. And then they're going to roll with Coop at center. And then I think we're going to see even more of Jack sliding up to the 5. We're going to see Jesse McCullough come in, play that 5 as well. So I'm excited to see that, going small ball with Cohen at the 4 too. I would even like to see super, super small ball with Cohen Carr playing the 5 in certain situations, lineups against certain teams. So I'm excited. So yeah, that's where I kind of see the rest of the offseason kind of going, attacking a backup ball handler for this team. And Trey Fort, I think he'll slide right in, either be the starting 2 guard, or I think he'll be, 6th, 7th man off the bench along with Caleb Glenn. If Kurtang starts, then I think him and Caleb Glenn first off the bench and get to run with Jeremy for a while. Then ideally another point guard to come in and run, kind of a handful of minutes, and then that point guard ideally stay in with Jeremy and can, run some sets that way too. And maybe that way is when you run the small ball lineup with Carr at the 5, have 2 kind of ball handlers that can create really good there. And then, wings that can cut to the basket, Trey Fort cutting to the basket, bouncing out for spray 3s. And then you have Cohen running the paint as well. I would really love to see like a Cohen Carr, Caleb Glenn, them cutting to the basket, Trey Fort kind of coming in, and then kind of a 2-point guard thing with Jeremy and, another backup point guard right here running the ball, kind of seeing what's open, and then Trey Fort being able to pop out on different wings. I think that would be a fun lineup as well. But anyway, I think this is a big addition, definitely addition that Michigan State needed. So now, in my opinion, just one more ball handling position to take care of in this offseason. But that'll do it for this one. Just a quick little commitment video here for Trey Fort coming into Michigan State. So excited to have Trey on the roster. Him and Caleb Glenn coming in as transfers so far this offseason. But anyway, we will be back soon. Like I said, I'm assuming we're going to probably have one more transfer commitment from, the sounds of it and what seems like the team needs are. So we'll be back to talk about that. If we don't, we'll be back to kind of recap. We've been wanting to recap this whole season. We're going to get into football as well, but kind of peek behind the curtain today. We're recording. Had some pretty big name enter the transfer portal today, if you can read through the lines there. So that's kind of just the approach I took to football this offseason. Was going to, do similar to like what we're doing with basketball and any, commitments or decommitments, whatever, talk or, entering the transfer portal, should I say. But honestly, football is, we'll save that discussion for another video, but we're just going to do whenever the spring transfer portal window is closed, we're just going to have a big video talking about this Michigan State team, the new additions, players who have left, both in the winter window that we might have not touched on then back in December, and then on the spring portal window as well, and then any departures that we had as well. And then just kind of then go from there and then start getting into kind of, hey, this is, hey, roster is kind of solidified now. We can start saying, hey, this is what I think the depth chart will be like. And, we'll just go from there. But anyway, keep an eye out for that. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a video. But that'll do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.